Hello, friends. This is Tracy Brown. I hope you're doing really, really well this morning. It's a Saturday morning, and I just got done not that long ago doing a live Instagram, kind of little, not a movie, but just a little live Instagram as a part of the, COVID-19 eating support on Instagram. So if you're needing a place to eat meals, there's a professional there pretty much 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just to chit chat with you, to be present. I had my biscuits and cheese and biscuits and butter and honey and smoothie and coffee about 8 o'clock this morning with people from all over the world, which was super fun. Good morning, Deb. So, Debbie, I was just talking about the COVID thing on Instagram. I just did it at 8 o'clock. It was so nice. I'm just kind of here this morning connecting with you all because I'm feeling this sense in my system of like, I want to move really slowly. And I've got some plans after about 10 o'clock this morning, but I thought for now, I'm just going to move really slow and I'm going to connect with you all. That's what I'm doing this morning. And I'm wondering what feels good for your system this morning and how can we shift it to one that allows a lot more clarity in your system about food. So I'm going to tell you what I'm doing this morning, and I want to see what that feels like in your system. So again, got up early this morning. Yeah, I saw you were doing COVID, but too early for me. Glad you're here. Yeah. I just kind of wanted to connect with you all this morning since the weekend. And so my week has been pretty fast-paced, not entirely because I want it to be. And I'm pretty good at like, okay, my system's a little revved from this, but not bad. It's not like out of too far my window, but I'm at my top edge. How that impacts my food is it does impact. I notice that I don't find myself, I notice I need it more than I can feel, which I need to sit down and eat like heftier, heartier, all the protein, carbs, and fat, a big mix. My body really needs that those times, but I can also tell, like, because of the revness, that it just seems easier to grab carbohydrates. And so I'm reflecting on that today. It's like, yep, that's a pattern. I recognize that. And I don't do it. I just like, oh, feeling revved. I just want to grab some Cheez-Its and run off. But it's like, that's not, because I know better, it's like, that's not actually nourishing to my system. So what do I really need to do? Which is, okay, protect my break times, really make sure I have the food I need. So that's what I've been doing. It's almost like a little opposite action. It's not disordered. It's just like when you are up or down in activation in your nervous system, you are going to feel survival eating kick in and not as much attuned eating be present for you. So that's something I'd love for you all to be reflecting on right now as you're watching this is, oh, yeah, there's a difference when I'm more in my window, or I can get myself a little closer to my window with my tools and my supports, and I take the time to offer myself that. Versus like, when you have dual awareness of like, I can feel what's happening in my system, and I don't give myself what I need. I know sometimes we're doing the best we can, but recognizing, wow, I'm not giving myself what I need. And I know that's a form of re-abandonment and isolation, and I don't want to do that, but I'm having a hard time accessing it. Okay, use your tool then. That's when you push, that's when you breathe, get outside, whatever. So noticing that this week. So I'm taking some stock this morning of how, with the schedule I have, because this is my new normal, and I am acting as if this is the way it's going to be. I'm not like wondering, when is it going to be different, and when's life going to be normal again? Well, maybe it will be a new normal. Maybe we're going to have a new normal. I don't know. So I'm deciding personally, I'm not going to worry about that. I know easier said than done, right? But I know that it impacts my food and my sense of like calm but alertness if I don't. So that's the kind of decision I'm making as like a stand and supportiveness to myself. So I'm wondering for you, what are you noticing that would be good for you to accept? I'm going to talk about some other things socially too in here in a second. But yeah, like how we on our system matters. It's going to impact our eating. And so I'm wondering if you're noticing that too this week. And so what revved upness is going to look like is usually appetite's going to like not be as good, not going to be quite clear what you want to eat, get some confusion of like, should I eat? What should I do? Those are all symptoms of sympathetic activation. And sometimes we either don't eat because we feel that, or we are overreaching to try to get some grounding or to try to move those sensations. It might help. It does help some, for sure. And sometimes it's enough to like, oh, I ate something. Okay, I know what I need to do. That's awesome. That gives you a clue of like, oh, I know what I need. Yeah. So Debbie, it's really hard. It is. And nobody will say different. It is so hard. It's, what do we want to do in the hard? Do we isolate? In my peaceful eating group, I put like a big thing. I highly recommend all of you to go look at the work of Stephen Porges about some of us are home notice when things feel stressful. We automatically and autopilotly want to hide. So like isolate, which is the worst thing you can do in recovery. It's the worst thing you can do when you're trying to learn how to be a normal eater, is to isolate. But what do you do when you are at home and you're not supposed to leave the house except for like, necessary things like groceries or whatever? Is I hope you're doing this. Like, find somebody to say, hey, let's get on a video and eat our breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Let's do a puzzle together. I'm learning from my daughter that the kids can do this. They're adapting well if we can be a co-regulatory example of that, which is, she gets her work done in the morning. She has plenty of playtime. We try to get outside. And she spends 2 to 4 hours on FaceTime talking to her best friend, and they play with each other. They make up games. They dress up their animals and do plays and stories. And this goes on for hours of giggling and screaming and just beautiful innocence of play and not thinking it shouldn't be any other way. And they're adapting. Kids, we can adapt. If they can do it, I know that we all have our somatic memories and our stuff that's coming up, and it's all real. But if we can notice that and say, can I use my tools and bring presence to it? Can I do my day in a way that's really supportive and and doing the best we can? So if you find yourself more of an isolator, it is so hard. It's just like eating that first meal in your recovery. It's like hard, but if we can get the first day going and the first week going, we can do it. And so what I want to inquire for you all, if this was it, this is the question I ask people all the time with body image work. If this was your body, and I've asked probably everybody here online this question hundreds of times, if your body weight is going to be exactly what it is now forever, doesn't matter how much you starve it, how much you eat, that it's not going to change your body. Eating 0 calories, eating 50,000 a day, it's not going to change it. What would you do? Mostly would answer, well, I don't know if I would like it, but I would get used to it. I would work through it. I would have to accept it. And so I'm kind of thinking about this process right now, is that however long we are inside, and I know uncertainty is like the big trigger for everybody in all of our food stuff, let alone other traumatic stuff, is that what if we acted as if today, like Saturday, today, the day this video is live, is that this is what we're doing. And how do we get our needs met? How do we get our social needs met? How do we help our nervous systems, our immune systems? How do we help our need for play and curiosity with food and play with food and spontaneity with food? For example, I'm cooking more. I mentioned, go back to the food. I'm cooking way more this weekend. I've already made biscuits, which I ate on the live on Instagram. I'm cooking 2 different types of potatoes, and here I'm talking to you as that's cooking. So it's like, and stuff's in the crock pot. I'm not making gourmet meals. I'm just having nourishment available that will last when I'm busy, or I don't feel like cooking, or I want to stay in bed and rest more. which I'm going to do a lot today, actually. There's going to be some laundry doing. You know, I'm still working on, I got some nervous system coursework I'm creating, you know, for the future for us. Work on that a little bit today, but that's just all fun and pleasure. If it was work, I wouldn't be doing it today. But I love it. I love being able to make stuff for y'all. So doing that. And I'm making homemade ice cream. And that's about it. Maybe I'll walk. I don't know. But that's what's happening. So Mary, I'm on Instagram live, like the COVID thing, 8 o'clock on Saturdays. I hope I don't get bumped, but that's the plan. That's hopefully my plan. I'm not sure if I'll be there every week, but that's my plan. Each week is to do Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. Eastern. So I know it's early, but, you know, I'm up. So Mary, you also said about wish your kiddo would FaceTime or Zoom. Well, maybe they could turn off the feature of not seeing their own face, but the other person could see them. Oh, your son, you made fudge. That's awesome. I think we're going to try to make mint chocolate chip ice cream today. I've never done it. I don't even have an ice cream maker. Yeah. Yeah, so cool. Yeah, I'm up to. That's what I'm trying to say. That's why I picked the Saturday morning Instagram, Mary, because I'm up. So I've been up since 6. I might as well take the early shift. I'm happy to do that. So hello, Carol. Everybody watching, by the way, hello and good morning. I'm just here chatting. I've got no agenda. I just want people to be really thinking about what you are learning and what we would benefit from accepting and how that's impacting our food. Is there anything else that I've missed to talk about? How can I move anxiety through my body? It's a lifestyle process, eating as a path to yoga. I'm going to answer that question. People ask me, I do regulation work every day, and every year, like, it's probably one of the reasons why, I mean, I'm going to go all over the place right now, but, like, I've been pretty calm-ish during this. One, because I didn't have a giant adaptation to having to be home so much, because I work from home anyway. It was hard, and I think next week will be better. Jumping right in, because our school didn't take any time. It's like we jumped right into homeschool, and so this is our week 3 of assignments, tests. Kiddo has Zoom calls all the time with her teachers and assistants and all kinds of stuff. So that's all been going. So that was hard to adjust to. I had a lot of frustration of just trying to juggle all and try to support my kiddo and things being as normal as possible. So it was a lot of extra brain space and work and honestly fatigue. And so I do suspect this week will be better because I have some more adaptation. Like, this is how it is. So how can I help myself, which I'm cooking more today. I'm really protecting my space this weekend of more quiet, less doing, to have some more capacity for the week. And the way we move anxiety is you recognize it and the different flavors that it shows up in your body, which is chest tightness, spinning, obsessing about food more body checking, wanting to constantly move, tightness in your chest, those kind of things, eating to ground yourself. Those are all ways in which anxiety shows up in the body, and you can label the sensations tight, buzzy, whatever, name it. Can I be with this? And to move it, it's essentially moving it. And it could be singing. It could be just talking to somebody. It could be hopping in the shower. It could be pushing and pulling and yard work if you have some space for that. Gardening, getting your hands in the dirt. Without my little garden right now, I'd have a more frustration because I need to be pushing and pulling and getting a little dirty and enjoying all that tactile and sensory stuff. I can't think my way out of that frustration. It doesn't work for me. I really need to be in my body and using my body. And that's not the same thing as exercise, though, because that sometimes just ramps people up more, and then it gets like this thought of like, every time I feel anxious, I have to exercise. We don't want to overcouple that. We want to have a lot of tools. So pushing is good. Sometimes the weighted blanket is good. You really just have to like test. Is this like a kind of anxiety of feeling isolated and alone? Or is this an anxiety of I feel trapped? That might need more movement than the other one that needs more comfort. It's a very personal thing. It's a very personal thing. But the food is always a doorway in. Restricting, binging, purging, overexercise, ruminating on body and food. Those are sympathetic states. So they need sympathetic responses. Writing is an active thing. So you're doing multiple things at once. That's why these things work, especially if we're aware of like how things are moving as we're doing them. So I hope that helps. That's right, Mary. You don't have to see your face on Zoom. Yeah. Well, hi, everybody. I'm just kind of seeing at the end here, there's a few more people dropping off, and I'm just talking. So anyway, I'd love to hear from you all. Yep, that's what it is. I didn't want to tell you what I thought was going on, and it's like, influencing you. But anger and grief, that's more what I have, honestly, than anxiety. It's like the grief of not knowing. I think grief and anger about this is way more under the surface, and anxiety is just the surface thing. So I have a illustration that I need to get made pretty. But imagine a pool. And some of this is kind of riffed and taken from Irene Lyon's metaphor of a pool. So if we have a swimming pool, and that's your nervous system, and it doesn't have a bunch of stuff in it, it's cleared out of leaves and other junk in it, a lot of beach toys. But let's say that, her, okay, yeah, grief that you have to teach like this. So sometimes, in frustration, yeah, it's new. That is totally understandable. I was talking to my daughter's Spanish teacher, and she was kind of like, she was here, she did an extra call for us because my daughter was having some trouble with something, and did a little extra session. And, I ended up actually counseling her somewhat about like the frustration of what you're talking about. And it's like, yeah, we do things a certain way, a certain time, and you put all this time and money and investment to being the best teacher you can be, and live and experiential and engaging. And now all of a sudden, boom, you have to do it differently. Yeah, you're going to have feelings about that. And that's normal. So normal. So again, one of the reasons that I was mentioning before, like I have grief and rage about other things, but not about my schedule and those kind of things. Maybe some about my schedule. Mostly a little bit of frustration, but it's getting better because I'm kind of like breathing and riding through it and walking around and digging in the dirt. That's the sensory that helps me. Others might have other things. But if you can use the body as a resource to teach you like what it is, and food is a reach, you can totally use that. But it's like, once you kind of like, it's almost like when you really, really want a steak and you eat a steak, you're like, ah. If you're frustrated and you push your couch, you might feel like, ah, and that was the right thing. The food might move it some, but not that much. So going back to the metaphor, sorry, I'm all over the place this morning. Like if you have a pool and you fill it with beach balls, eventually what happens if you throw if we replace getting rid of the beach balls in the pool with like other thoughts of other things, like, well, there's a beach ball in the pool, and to deal with the beach ball in the pool, I'm going to put more water in my pool. All you get is a pool overflowing, and the beach balls might get out eventually, but it's just going to take a lot of time, and then you have another problem with the pool overflowing. That's kind of like what eating issues are with like stress and complex PSD and all that kind of stuff, So instead, my thought is like, how do we take out the beach balls? And first we have to identify like where the beach balls are in the pool, and if you have the right tools to get them out. And so Faith is right. We need lots of self-compassion. That's a tool at this time. All feelings are welcome and totally understandable. And Mary, yeah, if we haven't ever felt allowed to fully have grief and anger and be with it and have the space for it, it's going to blow eventually, right? Just like with, I know binging is like a very common thing we do. When we feel like the anger and grief are going to blow, we eat to push it down because we don't know what to do with it. So, yeah, I hear you. I had to apologize to my husband too last week, Mary, and Jill. Yep, and Mary's saying something really cool. Sometimes I eat ice cream, and after I eat, I'm like, nope, that wasn't it. That's right. That's how I learned. There were so many times I'm like, I don't know what to do, so I'm gonna take a bite. Yep, that was it. I needed some more fuel. I wasn't quite done. Or nope, that's not right. Put the ice cream back in the freezer. That stuff can happen though, if there's full permission to do that, without judgment, without like, oh my gosh, the body. That's accessible to us to do that level of inquiry and not looking for perfection, but looking for the right fit. That's how that can happen. So thank you all so much for being with me here on a Saturday morning. I really appreciate you. I hope this was helpful and nourishing, and that you're actually really reflecting this week what you learned, what your body needs with food, how you can plan more for nourishment without being over planning and allowing yourself to be spontaneous. I'm glad that was a great way to start your weekend. I just kind of felt like doing it. I was like, I don't want to write. I just kind of want to sit on my porch and talk on my phone. So that's what I thought I would do for y'all and for me today as well. So I hope that was helpful. The idea of sitting at my computer at my desk was not appealing. So that's an example of following your impulse. Like, I need to connect and I have something to say. And this is how I'm going to do it. And I know that's not the normal way I do it, but who cares? Who cares about normal? This is the way that is just right. And if that isn't an example of attuned eating, I don't know what is, right? So thank you. And if you have any questions, please give me, and I would love to hear about you all. I have some ideas for next week. I want to talk a little bit about isolation. I want to talk a little bit about and how it's impacting people's food. Acceptance feels really important to me as we're talking this last couple of days. But I want to hear from you all. What's on your hearts that needs some nuance around food and how it's impacting me? Because, I'm concerned really for a lot of people who are feeling like, I can't do what I used to do, so what's the point? And that gives me a lot of grief. What's been making that is the blame on larger bodies. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Zoom calls are everything. I agree. I love Zoom calls. Yeah, so Mary, what do you think? I want to be here with you a few more minutes before we hop off with everybody. Is what do you think we can do? Did you all see the link yesterday from Lindley Ashline in my video yesterday? Because I posted her link about, there's some resources about that. I wonder if anybody here, any thumbs up that you saw that. But what can we do about it is, a lot of us who are isolated maybe aren't as aware of that. But especially if you're a healthcare worker and you're hearing some of that kind of stuff. So Mary, my video I did yesterday, I have a link to Lindley's stuff on her. She's doing a lot of advocacy about that. So. Well, yeah, I know, Mary, you have to work. I don't expect you to be on top of all my stuff here. But, so you said I need to go back, my job getting in the way. Well, you get grateful you have. I'm so glad that you, it's fun. That's kind of funny. I know what you meant, but it's like, of all the things, our work gets in the way of the things we want to do, right? But she put out a lot of good resources on her website, and she's got some stuff going on Instagram about it. So I'm happy to support people who are being really vocal about it. Yeah, good. Okay. Mary, if you have any resources you would like to put in the comments, please do that for people. I can't do that right now on the phone and type those out at the same time. So if you could put those, I'd appreciate it, links to those. I think those will be really, really helpful to post here on Facebook for this audience. I know. I hate that. I'm sorry. I used to work in dialysis too, so I know that population is super vulnerable, and they have to get out of the house 3 times a week, to get taken care of. So it's a thing. My sister's a radiation therapist, so they're still treating people all the time, and she has concerns about that too. That there are people who are less sick that we need to be seeing them as much, that kind of stuff. So anyway, it's interesting. It's interesting times that we're trying to make decisions about. And yeah, we need to keep it, we need to keep our focus on the actual risk factors, not just using weight as a thing for, as a parameter for that. We all know how much horse hockey that is. So anyway, thank you all for, I see some other people hopping on. I'm actually getting ready to hop off, but I would love to get some of your comments about what feels important to you that are actual live things. Yeah, it is hard. Yeah, I know. I hope you have precautions that you need, Mary, as well. It would be, I know it's scary. But I really encourage you to use, I hope they are giving you masks and gloves and all that kind of stuff. Even I know your role in like not direct, needles and in their faces much care. It's still a thing though, right? It is hard. I remember how those are small quarters in dialysis centers for the most part. So yeah, good. All right. Does anybody have any thoughts or topics for next week that I can address for y'all next week? I've got some topics, but I'd rather hear from you. You're my people, and I want to serve you the best way I can, and bring the nuance to like how to navigate food and body image at this time. So yeah, okay, you're doing that too. Okay, got it. Yeah, kind of all hands on deck kind of thing. Okay. Well, we'll be thinking about you, Mary. I know you're on the front lines of this in a healthcare situation, and for everybody who is, take care of yourself the best you very much can. Get enough rest. Come here and feel taken care of, and keep the best thing you can do, probably, Mary, besides sleep and nourishment, is connection and having some space in your system. Yep. So topics: self-compassion breaks, moving energy out. Cool. And so we want to talk about how that impacts your, how doing it or not doing it impacts your food, and having even consent with yourself to do it or not. Because sometimes we kind of like should ourselves into all these things that we think we should do. And sometimes we don't want to, and that needs to be respected too. And yeah, so. All right, well, I'm going to hop off, y'all. Hope this was helpful to you, and I will talk to you. I'll see you in some kind of post tomorrow, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.